In parts of Africa right now, a single accusation of witchcraft can destroy a family overnight, children thrown onto the streets, women driven from their homes, entire communities paralyzed by fear of forces they cannot see but fully believe are real. And yet these same forces are also the reason millions find healing, justice, and hope where modern systems have failed them. Black magic is not a relic. It is alive, powerful, and shaping the futures of nations in ways that most of the world refuses to acknowledge. Across the continent, from the neon-lit streets of Lagos to the highland villages of Ethiopia, black magic quietly reshapes societies, influences destinies, fuels deep anxieties, and touches millions of lives in ways that outsiders rarely understand. Recent studies reveal that despite centuries of upheaval, these practices remain deeply woven into daily existence, challenging every assumption about power, belief, and survival. Now, before we go deeper into this, I need to say something directly. The stories you are about to hear are the kind that rarely get told with the nuance they deserve. When you subscribe to this channel, like this video, or share it with someone, you are doing something meaningful. You're helping us reach people who have never heard these perspectives, breaking down stereotypes one conversation at a time, and building a community that values truth over sensationalism. Every single share pushes these voices further into the world. If that matters to you, hit subscribe right now and become part of this journey. Let's get into it. To understand the roots of black magic in Africa, we need to look back thousands of years, long before the arrival of Christianity or Islam. In pre-colonial times, spiritual systems formed the backbone of society, guiding everything from farming cycles to justice and conflict resolution. These systems were never uniform. Each ethnic group, each region developed its own cosmology, rituals, and understanding of the supernatural. What outsiders often label as black magic is, in many cases, a blend of indigenous religious practice, ancestral veneration, and a belief in unseen forces that can be harnessed for both good and ill. The boundaries between what is considered black magic and what is seen as legitimate religious practice have always been fluid. In many societies, the same ritual might be used to heal one day and to harm the next, depending on intent and circumstance. This duality is a defining feature of African spiritual systems. The power to protect is never far from the power to destroy. Let's begin in West Africa, a region where spiritual traditions have shaped not only local life, but also global perceptions of African religion. Here, the concept of Juju emerged as a powerful spiritual force. Juju is not just a set of rituals, it's a worldview, a way of understanding the relationship between the material and spiritual realms. Objects like talismans, amulets, and charms are imbued with power through ritual, believed to protect, heal, or in darker contexts, to curse and harm. The Yoruba of Nigeria and the Faun of Benin developed the Vodun tradition, which has given rise to a complex pantheon of spirits, each with its own rituals, offerings, and taboos. Vodun, often misunderstood and misrepresented in the West as voodoo, is a sophisticated spiritual system that encompasses both protective and destructive magic. Rituals might involve animal sacrifice, drumming, dance, and the use of sacred objects crafted from wood, clay, or metal. The power of Vodun is believed to reside not only in the spirits but in the objects themselves, which are carefully guarded and passed down through generations. Moving to Central Africa, we find traditions such as Nganga and the use of fetishes serving similar purposes. Here, ritual specialists act as intermediaries between the human and spirit worlds. The Nganga is both feared and respected, called upon to diagnose spiritual afflictions, identify witches, and perform rituals for protection or harm. The use of familiars, spiritual animals like hyenas or baboons is common, and accusations of witchcraft can lead to social exclusion or violence. Central African beliefs about witchcraft often center on the idea of inherent supernatural power, sometimes inherited through family lines. In southern Africa, the Sangoma and Nganga traditions play central roles. Sangomas are spiritual healers, trained through rigorous initiation and guided by ancestral spirits. Their work involves divination, herbal medicine and ritual cleansing. Yet the line between healing and harming is thin. Some Sangomas are believed to possess knowledge of Muti, potent substances that can be used for both good and evil. The fear of witchcraft is pervasive, and accusations can lead to violence, as seen in South Africa's history of witch hunting. Reports indicate that up to 80% of South Africans consult traditional healers, reflecting the deep integration of these practices into daily life. East Africa, too, has its own traditions. Among the Luo of Kenya, the concept of jok refers to a spiritual force that can be harnessed for protection or destruction. Ritual specialists, known as ajwaka, mediated between the living and the dead, performing ceremonies to appease spirits or counteract curses. In Ethiopia, ancient incantation scrolls bear witness to a long history of magical practice, blending Christian and indigenous elements in a unique spiritual synthesis. North Africa presents a different but equally complex picture. Here, the legacy of ancient Egyptian magic continues to influence contemporary practices, blending with Islamic traditions and local beliefs. The use of amulets, incantations, and protective charms remains widespread, reflecting a long history of magical thinking that predates both Christianity and Islam. In Morocco, for instance, the practice of seer, often translated as sorcery, has deep roots in Berber and Arab cultures and is sometimes invoked in disputes over land, inheritance, or love. According to recent research, these practices have not only survived but have adapted to modern realities, with spiritual specialists offering their services in both rural and urban settings. Across these regions, the diversity of black magic practices reflects Africa's rich tapestry of cultures, languages, and histories. Yet certain themes recur: the belief in unseen forces, the power of ritual, and the ever-present possibility of harm or healing. These beliefs are not relics of the past. Recent data shows that even today, a majority of Africans across religious, educational, and economic lines hold some belief in witchcraft or supernatural intervention. To see how deeply black magic is embedded in African societies, consider how these practices intersect with daily life. In many communities, traditional healers and ritual specialists are the first point of contact for health, justice, and spiritual guidance. Their influence extends beyond the individual, shaping family dynamics, community decisions, and even political power structures. In some regions, households spend a significant portion of their income on traditional medicine and ritual services, underscoring the economic weight of these practices. According to research, some families in the poorest quintiles spend more than 10% of their monthly income on traditional services, reflecting both necessity and belief. Let's turn now to a specific case study: Côte d'Ivoire, a country where belief in black magic is both widespread and deeply contested. In villages like Accusations, witch doctors are both feared and sought after. Allegations of witchcraft are common, often targeting adult men and elderly women. These accusations can be sparked by misfortune, a failed harvest, a sudden illness, or even the outcome of a football match. In some cases, witch doctors are believed to influence events through the installation of talismans or fetishes, objects thought to channel spiritual power for harm or protection. The impact of these beliefs is profound. Accusations of witchcraft can lead to social exclusion, violence, and even death. In Côte d'Ivoire, as in many African countries, colonial authorities attempted to curb witch hunting by introducing laws against witchcraft accusations. Yet the fear persists, and the belief in black magic remains strong in both rural and urban areas, including the capital, Abidjan. Traditional indigenous religions generally discourage the practice of black magic, but the line between accepted ritual and feared sorcery is often blurred. Observers note that witchcraft is sometimes weaponized as a tool of coercion, particularly in cases related to human trafficking or maintaining victim vulnerability. The threat of being labeled a witch can keep individuals in line, reinforcing existing power structures and perpetuating cycles of fear and mistrust. In some cases, entire families are ostracized, and children are expelled from their homes, forced to fend for themselves on the streets. The deadly consequences of black magic beliefs are not limited to Côte d'Ivoire. Across Africa, witchcraft-related violence has resulted in deaths and serious harm, particularly in countries like Malawi and the Central African Republic. In Malawi, dozens of people are killed each year in witchcraft-related incidents, with over 70% of the population subscribing to such beliefs. In the Central African Republic, hundreds are convicted of witchcraft annually, often facing violence, especially women. Children and adolescents are increasingly victims of witchcraft-related violence, an alarming and understudied phenomenon. Human rights organizations have documented extreme cases, including ritual murders, exorcisms, and even human sacrifice. These acts are often justified by the belief that certain individuals possess supernatural powers that must be neutralized for the good of the community. The psychological trauma inflicted on the accused and on entire communities can be devastating, perpetuating cycles of fear, suspicion, and violence. Yet, it is essential to recognize that black magic is not solely a force for harm. In many African societies, the same rituals and beliefs that inspire fear are also sources of protection, healing, and social cohesion. Traditional healers, including Sangomas, Ngangas, and Ajwaka, play vital roles in maintaining health, resolving conflicts, and mediating between the living and the dead. Their knowledge of herbs, rituals, and spiritual forces is passed down through generations, forming an essential part of Africa's cultural heritage. The dual nature of black magic, its capacity to heal and to harm, reflects the complexity of African spiritual systems. Protective rituals are performed to ward off evil spirits, ensure good harvests, and safeguard families. Divination ceremonies help individuals make sense of misfortune, offering explanations and solutions rooted in tradition. In times of crisis, communities turn to ritual specialists for guidance, seeking to restore balance and harmony. At the same time, the fear of black magic can be a powerful instrument of social control. Accusations of witchcraft are often highly gendered, targeting women, the elderly, and other vulnerable groups. In Ghana, so-called witch camps have served as refuges for women accused of witchcraft, though the government has announced plans to close them. The stigma attached to witchcraft can lead to social exclusion, loss of livelihood, and even violence. Reports indicate that belief in black magic can hinder social, economic, political, and spiritual development, as communities become trapped in cycles of suspicion and retribution. The economic impact of black magic and traditional healing practices is significant. In many African countries, traditional healers are a paid source of healthcare integrated into local economies alongside modern medicine. Households, especially among the poorest, may spend more than 10% of their monthly income on traditional services. African spirituality and associated practices also attract religious and cultural tourism, contributing to local economies in ways that imported religions do not. Despite the expansion of modern healthcare, the demand for traditional healers remains strong, particularly among older populations. The persistence of black magic beliefs is not simply a matter of tradition. Colonial and post-colonial history has played a major role in shaping contemporary attitudes. European colonial powers often viewed indigenous spiritual practices as superstitious or dangerous, criminalizing and persecuting those suspected of witchcraft. These interventions altered local attitudes, sometimes reinforcing the association of black magic with evil or the devil. Yet the underlying beliefs proved remarkably resilient, adapting to new contexts and challenges. In the post-colonial era, black magic continues to influence political dynamics and power structures. Politicians in some African countries have used accusations of witchcraft to outmaneuver rivals and instill fear among opponents. Spiritual beliefs and practices are leveraged to compel or control others, especially in times of political competition or conflict. The coexistence of political power and spiritual authority is a feature of many African kingdoms, with leaders often mediating between the two realms. Observers note that the fear of black magic can have far-reaching implications for governance and social stability. In some cases, anti-witchcraft measures and occult imaginaries have reinforced political geography and local power structures. The association of certain animals with witchcraft has even influenced the treatment of wildlife, as species like hyenas and baboons are persecuted due to their perceived connection to the supernatural. The tools and materials used in black magic rituals are as diverse as the practices themselves. Common ritual objects include masks, staffs, cups, and small sculptures crafted from wood, clay, or metal. Talismans and fetishes are often constructed from natural materials, imbued with spiritual power through ritual colors and patterns hold symbolic meaning, blue for wisdom, red for danger or vitality. Some objects, like the boli of West Africa, are carefully constructed and wrapped in cloth, believed to contain potent spiritual energy. Rituals may involve animal sacrifice, the use of spiritually charged packets, or the recitation of incantations passed down through generations. As Africa urbanizes, black magic practices have adapted to new environments. In cities across the continent, spiritual beliefs and occult practices continue to influence political dynamics, social relations, and even economic activity. Academics and professionals may consult black magicians for rituals, seeking protection, success, or revenge. Legislation in countries like South Africa and Zimbabwe has addressed witchcraft, often criminalizing accusations or harmful practices, but the underlying beliefs remain deeply embedded. The influence of African black magic extends far beyond the continent. African American traditions such as hoodoo, conjure, and root-working are rooted in ancestral rituals carried by enslaved communities to the Americas. These traditions blend healing, protection, divination, and, at times, harmful magic, reflecting the dual nature of their African origins. Modern spiritual systems like Vodun, Santeria, and Candomblé share common roots in African beliefs about supernatural forces and spiritual landscapes. Despite centuries of change, black magic remains a powerful force in African societies. Its origins are ancient, its rituals diverse, and its impact profound. The belief in unseen forces shapes how people understand misfortune, illness, and conflict. It influences who holds power, who is trusted, and who is feared. It offers both hope and terror, healing and harm. To deepen our understanding, let's explore more regional examples and their unique approaches. In Nigeria, the Babalawo of the Yoruba are highly respected diviners and ritual specialists, central to both everyday life and major community decisions. Their work is not only spiritual but also social, as they mediate disputes and provide counsel. In Benin, the annual Vodun festival draws thousands of practitioners and curious visitors, highlighting the continued vibrancy and adaptability of these traditions. The festival is a major event, blending ritual music and public displays of spiritual power, and it has become a significant driver of cultural tourism. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, accusations of witchcraft have had a particularly devastating impact on children. UNICEF reports that thousands of children are accused of witchcraft each year, often as a way for families to explain misfortune or hardship. These children may be expelled from their homes, forced to live on the streets, or subjected to violent exorcisms. The psychological and social consequences are severe, with many children facing lifelong trauma and marginalization. In Tanzania, the belief in witchcraft has led to targeted violence against people with albinism. Some believe that their body parts possess magical properties, leading to horrific attacks and killings. Human rights organizations have documented these abuses, highlighting the urgent need for both legal protection and cultural change. In South Africa, the legacy of colonial and apartheid-era policies continues to shape attitudes toward traditional healers and black magic. During apartheid, traditional healers were often marginalized or criminalized, but today they are recognized as an integral part of the healthcare system. The South African government has even established a traditional health practitioners council to regulate the profession and ensure ethical standards. Yet the fear of witchcraft persists, and accusations can still lead to violence, particularly in rural areas. In Zimbabwe, the government has taken a different approach, passing laws that criminalize both the practice of witchcraft and the making of witchcraft accusations. This legal framework reflects the complex interplay between tradition, modernity, and the rule of law in contemporary African societies. The economic dimensions of black magic are equally complex. In many communities, traditional healers are not only spiritual leaders, but also entrepreneurs, providing a range of services from herbal medicine to divination and ritual protection. Their practices are often deeply intertwined with local economies, and their influence extends to markets, politics, and even the arts. In some regions, the demand for traditional healing services has led to the emergence of large organized networks of practitioners, complete with apprenticeships, guilds, and codes of conduct. At the same time, the commercialization of black magic has raised ethical and legal questions. In Nigeria, for example, there have been reports of fraudulent practitioners exploiting vulnerable individuals, promising miraculous cures or supernatural interventions in exchange for large sums of money. Authorities have struggled to regulate these practices, balancing respect for tradition with the need to protect consumers from harm. The psychological impact of black magic beliefs is profound and far-reaching. In many societies, the fear of supernatural harm shapes behavior, relationships, and even public policy. People may avoid certain places, foods, or activities believed to be cursed or dangerous. Families may go to great lengths to protect themselves from perceived threats, investing in rituals, charms, and protective measures. This pervasive sense of spiritual insecurity can undermine trust, disrupt social cohesion, and hinder development. Yet, black magic also serves important social functions. It provides explanations for misfortune, illness, and conflict, helping individuals and communities make sense of the unpredictable. It offers a framework for understanding power, justice, and morality, reinforcing social norms and values. In times of crisis, ritual specialists provide comfort, guidance, and hope, drawing on centuries of accumulated knowledge and tradition. The intersection of black magic with contemporary politics is an underreported but critical dimension. In some countries, politicians have been known to consult ritual specialists for protection or to gain an advantage over rivals. Accusations of witchcraft are sometimes deployed as political weapons used to discredit opponents or mobilize support. The fear of supernatural harm can be a powerful tool for maintaining control, especially in contexts of uncertainty or transition. Observers note that the persistence of black magic beliefs has implications for governance and development. In some cases, anti-witchcraft campaigns have been used to justify human rights abuses or to target marginalized groups. In others, the integration of traditional healers into public health systems has improved access to care and strengthened community resilience. The challenge lies in finding a balance between respecting cultural traditions and protecting individuals from harm. The global impact of African black magic traditions is also significant. As African diasporas have spread around the world, so too have their spiritual practices. In the Americas, African-derived religions like Santeria, Candomblé, and Vodou have become major cultural forces, blending African beliefs with elements of Christianity and indigenous traditions. These religions have faced their own challenges, often stigmatized or misunderstood, but they continue to thrive and evolve, reflecting the resilience and adaptability of African spiritual heritage. In Europe and North America, interest in African spiritual practices has grown in recent years, driven by a search for alternative forms of healing, empowerment, and meaning. Workshops, festivals, and online communities have sprung up, connecting practitioners and seekers across continents. This global exchange has brought new visibility to African traditions, but it has also raised questions about appropriation, authenticity, and respect. As we reflect on the role of black magic in Africa, it is crucial to approach the subject with balance and nuance. These practices are not simply relics of a superstitious past. They are living traditions, constantly evolving and adapting to new realities. They reflect the resilience of African cultures, the complexity of human belief, and the enduring quest for meaning in an uncertain world. At the same time, the harmful impacts of black magic beliefs cannot be ignored. Accusations of witchcraft continue to lead to violence, social exclusion, and human rights abuses. The fear of supernatural harm can undermine trust, fracture families, and hinder development. Addressing these challenges requires not only legal and policy interventions, but also a deeper understanding of the cultural and historical roots of these beliefs. To further illustrate the scale and complexity of black magic's influence, let's look at how these beliefs intersect with migration and cross-border dynamics. In West Africa, for example, spiritual specialists often travel between countries, offering their services to migrant communities. This mobility has helped spread certain rituals and beliefs across borders, creating networks of practitioners that operate in both legal and informal economies. Reports indicate that in cities like Lagos, Abidjan, and Accra, black magic practitioners cater to a diverse clientele from market traders to politicians, adapting their services to the needs of urban life. The persistence of these cross-border networks reveals something important. Black magic is not confined by national boundaries or modernity. It moves with people, adapts to new economies, and finds relevance in contexts that would seem hostile to its survival. In North African cities, for instance, practitioners blend ancient Berber traditions with Islamic mysticism, offering services that range from love spells to business protection. The demand cuts across class lines, drawing clients from every level of society, a testament to how deeply these beliefs are woven into the human experience on this continent. The role of black magic in shaping gender relations is another critical but often overlooked dimension. Across many African societies, women are disproportionately accused of witchcraft, especially older women and widows. This pattern reflects broader social anxieties about gender, power, and change. In some cases, accusations are used to dispossess women of property or to settle personal grudges. Research shows that these dynamics are not unique to Africa, but are part of a global pattern in societies where belief in witchcraft is strong. Education and modernization have had a mixed impact on black magic beliefs. While higher levels of education are associated with lower levels of belief in some regions, the overall picture is complex. In urban areas, young people may reject traditional explanations for misfortune, but many still turn to spiritual specialists in times of crisis. The persistence of these beliefs, even among the educated and affluent, suggests that black magic fulfills deep psychological and social needs that are not easily replaced by modern science or religion. The media has played a significant role in shaping perceptions of black magic, both within Africa and globally. Sensationalist reporting on witchcraft-related violence or ritual killings can reinforce stereotypes and fuel moral panics. At the same time, African filmmakers, writers, and artists have begun to reclaim these narratives, exploring the complexities of spiritual belief in novels, films, and visual art. This cultural production offers new ways of understanding black magic, moving beyond simplistic binaries of good and evil. International organizations and local NGOs have launched campaigns to combat witchcraft-related violence and to protect the rights of those accused. These efforts include legal reforms, public education, and support for victims. In some countries, community-based programs have helped to reduce violence by promoting dialogue and reconciliation. However, progress is uneven, and the underlying beliefs remain deeply entrenched. The future of black magic in Africa will depend on a range of factors, from economic development and urbanization to the evolution of religious and cultural identities. As societies change, so too will the forms and meanings of black magic. Some practices may fade, while others adapt to new realities, finding fresh relevance in a rapidly changing world. Throughout this journey, it is clear that black magic is not a monolithic or static phenomenon. It is a living tradition shaped by history, culture, and the ongoing struggles of individuals and communities to make sense of their world. Its power lies not only in its rituals and symbols, but in its ability to adapt, to endure, and to inspire both fear and hope. Now I want to hear from you. What do you think is the most powerful force shaping Africa's future? The resilience of tradition, the push toward modernization, or something else entirely? Drop your answer in the comments. And if this video opened your eyes to something new, do me a favor, share it with one person who needs to see it. That is how we grow this conversation. Subscribe if you have not already, and I will see you in the next one.